what happens when you come together is your energy is recalibrating, so that you can sustain the energy harmoniously with each other. So don't fear separation. Don't fear any instance where you might go into no contact again. And it's not going to be forever. It's not going to be long like your separation was. It's gonna, you might have some contact and then some no contact and then some contact and then some no contact. Or there might be some trigger points, but now you're gonna be consciously working through it together. So don't fear the past and don't let the past play a part in what it is that you're creating now. Be very conscious and be very mindful of anything that comes up now, okay? Also recognize that even though he has gone through his spiritual awakening, that's a process for him too. So don't expect perfection for yourself or for him. Release any kind of attachment to expectations that you might have so that you can, again, approach the connection, approach your relationship and conversations, etc., more consciously. It's not about perfection. It is about just being more mindful with each other. And that's going to build and create from this point going forward. Think of it as building blocks. Think of it as you're building a new foundation. The more you allow for that, you're going to let your journey unfold rather than it has to be this way or that way. That's going to allow it to be more fluid. That's going to allow the connection to open up more. That's going to allow for it to have a firmer foundation. And that's going to allow it for to have that stability and that sustainability. And when I mean sustainability, I mean in the physical. Because you're never separate energetically. You're always one, right? As counterparts. But I mean sustainable physically because what happens, especially with counterparts, is the energy can be too much, too overwhelming. And that's where you have to kind of go your separate ways in the 3D, the way it looks to your human selves. You have to go your separate ways to maybe go through your individual growth process or learning. But union is all about doing that together. You're still your individual self, your beautiful, unique you, but you are doing this in partnership consciously with your person. So, yeah, I just keep getting this message of yes, he's been going through a spiritual awakening, and even though he is sharing that with you, don't place a pressure on it. Don't place a perfection on it. Recognize this is for you to recognize, and he might have to recognize this too, that it's not a once and done thing. Spiritual awakening is a continuing evolution, a continuing process. It's not like, oh, I'm awakened, I'm enlightened. It's a continued process of soul growth. So I feel like that's a reminder as you continue through this process that it is a process. And that's where you have compassion for each other. That's where you are mindful and conscious of each other. And that's where you work more mindfully and consciously with each other. Okay, so there's just an emphasis on that that's coming through here. Okay, so let's see what is going on. Yeah, exactly. Let go of the control issues. Allow the situation to unfold naturally. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not to say, oh, he's awakened, so now we can get together, and now we can do this, and now we can do that. It's a process, and it's a process that unfolds together. And when we get into a place of, and I'm not saying this is where you are, but this is just the overall energy that I'm getting, it could be coming from him too, of thinking that I'm awakened, so everything is copacetic, everything is beautiful, everything is great. Like, there's still work to be done, especially in physical communication and connection with somebody, especially as you're building a relationship with somebody. Like, it still takes conscious work and conscious effort to communicate and build on that communication, to set boundaries, to get to know each other again and see what are my likes, what are my dislikes when it comes to connection, what are my needs, what are my wants, what are my desires. Like, it still takes conscious work. So that's where I feel like not trying to control the journey or this aspect of the journey, not trying to force anything, but just letting it build, just letting it unfold, letting it step by step kind of not unravel, unfold naturally. They're just showing me like a carpet opening up, like that kind of thing, like just letting it unfold beautifully, naturally, and organically, and doing so from a very conscious standpoint. Not trying to control how it looks, what it seems, what it is, just continuing to build on the conversations that you have, and those conversations coming from an honest, vulnerable, open standpoint. Yep, That's my awakening card. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. That's my spiritual awakening card, and make the effort. So this is exactly just confirming what it is that I was channeling, what it is that I was saying. It's yes, spiritual awakening happens and you grow more conscious, you grow more aware, you grow more mindful, you open up, you shift your perspective, but it doesn't mean that everything just naturally falls into place. It takes effort. It takes conscious effort now. Because what is conscious effort? Conscious effort is now being aware of where you were unconscious. For example, where you might have been playing out patterns or pain cycles, or where you were maybe not communicating healthily, or not standing up for yourself, speaking up for yourself, where you weren't being true to you, where you weren't having healthy boundaries. Now that you know those things, that's where your journey has taken you. That's what he's hopefully learning with his spiritual awakening. That's when you join together and you consciously create your connection. You consciously build your sacred relationship from the effort. So it does take effort. It's not going to feel like hard. It's not going to feel like work. It's not going to feel like you're, what's the phrase, like pulling teeth, like it might have in the past. It's going to flow much more easily, but it's still both of you working towards that same goal. It's both of you having that same intention. It's both of you communicating in a mindful, conscious way. So, sometimes I think I just shared this in the Sacred Union update. Sometimes we think that coming into union or reunion, everything is just going to magically fall into place. Well, yes and no. Yes, because energetically everything is falling into place, but we're also human. And, we have to put in the effort in our human instance to work together. And it's going to feel more harmonious. It's going to feel more joyful. It's going to feel much more peaceful because it is more conscious. And so the effort is not going to feel like work anymore, but it's still going to be effort. You still have to work together consciously. So that's what this energy feels like. And I feel like you're in a really good position to keep building that foundation. And that's what you're doing, is you're building that foundation so that it's stable, secure, so that you can build on the intimacy, and so that you're building that trust, and so that it's sustainable. The foundations that had been built before weren't sustainable, and now I feel like, yes, now we can sustain this.